234 days. It's been 234 days since the last general Nintendo Direct. Now, this might seem like a long time, which it definitely is, but it's still not the longest because that still goes to the COVID era that we had to go through, where we went from September 4th of 2019 all the way to February 17th of 2021, over an entire year of no general directs, even though we got pretty much monthly partner directs. But that was clearly for a reason. That was a COVID shift. We are now in the month of May of 2026 with no viruses going on and really no apparent reason why we shouldn't be having a Nintendo Direct. There's games that we could be learning more information about. There's lots of future announcements that we could know about, like, for instance, anything coming out the second half of this year or for the holiday season. I mean, we could even be learning about Zelda's anniversary plans, but we haven't had any of that announced yet. In fact, this has probably been one of the quietest times we've ever had from Nintendo. They have been giving us some weekly updates on certain games like Splatoon Raiders, or maybe like a quick little trailer of one of the mini games from Rhythm Heaven, or an overview trailer for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, which is obvious because the game comes out literally this month. And now, since we're officially in the month of May, I've seen a lot of people online getting kind of antsy, expecting a Nintendo Direct to happen relatively soon, because we always have one in the summer, right? Well, obviously in 2020, Nintendo didn't hold any general directs. 2 years later, Nintendo decided to skip out on summer of 2022 and didn't have any general direct that summer. And even last year of 2025, Nintendo didn't hold any general direct during the summer. They had one for the Switch 1 in March and then one specifically for the Switch 2 in April, but nothing in May, June, or July. So out of the last 6 years, only 3 of those years did Nintendo have a general direct during the summer. And the fact that we haven't had a general Nintendo Direct this year at all is actually making me a little bit worried that we still won't have one in the summer. It also seems like lately when Nintendo has scheduled games to come out, they don't feel pressured to have directs anymore. And if you look at the schedule, why would they until September? I mean, look at what we got. Splatoon Raiders and Rhythm Heaven Groove are both coming out in July. We know for the month of May, which is the month that we're currently in, we're getting Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. And I think it might be safe to say that we're getting Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave around August. That only now leaves the month of June before September, and I feel like Nintendo can just come out on Twitter one day and say, hey, here's this new game coming. Like, for instance, there's a big rumor that a Star Fox game is coming this summer, and all Nintendo has to do is drop on Twitter or the Nintendo Today app one of these weeks and say, hey, Star Fox game next month, and then boom, there goes your Nintendo Direct ever happening. So in theory, whether we like it or not, Nintendo could wait until September to have a Nintendo Direct, which would be a full year's wait from September to September of 2025 to 2026, which does sound pretty awful because that means Nintendo will not be announcing their big holiday games. They won't be setting up the second half of this year and maybe even announcing some big things for the beginning of next year. We're going to have to wait until September for that. So is all hope lost? Are we going to have to wait until September? Is Nintendo done with Nintendo Directs altogether? Well, it's still a 50-50 shot. Maybe I made you kind of depressed and let down with this first half of the video, but maybe I can lift your spirits a little bit with the second half. Because the unlikely chance that there might not be a Direct, I think there's an equal likely chance that there could be a Direct, because there's some evidence to support this. Recently, tons of third-party games just got rated as if they're about to announce a bunch of third-party games for Switch 2. This normally only happens right before a Nintendo Direct. Now, this could just be a partner direct, which would definitely be a letdown again, but it could also mean a big general direct. This Friday is also a very big day because it marks the scheduled earnings release fiscal year data for March of 2026, which pretty much tells us the sales for everything from the beginning of this year. This is normally where Nintendo tries to go in and impress shareholders and investors with what they have and what they have to come as well. And right now, they don't have anything that's to come, really. Sure, you got Splatoon Raiders and Fire Emblem and Switch 1 Rhythm Heaven, but they're going to need more than that and Yoshi the Mysterious Book in order to convince investors. I'm not a really big stocks guy, but I can tell you I've been noticing Nintendo's stock has been dropping increasingly very much over the last year. And right now, it's on the trajectory to be one of the lowest points it's been in the last 5 years if it keeps going on its downward trend, which as of right now, I can't see why it wouldn't when there's really nothing to bring it back up, especially after the Mario Galaxy movie already came out and it didn't even do enough. So Nintendo's gonna have to make things shake eventually. And don't be fooled. A lot of people will say they don't care about investors that much to have to announce something before the investors meeting. They've done this before. In fact, they've actually just came out last year and told us before the investors meeting that we're gonna have a March Switch 1 Direct and an April Switch 2 Direct, well in advance. So who knows? Maybe Nintendo will feel a slight push to announce something this week, or at least to tell us when to expect this next show. Another thing that's very interesting is Star Fox, and I know a lot of people have been nudging me saying, hey, Nintendo Land, remember when Nate the Hate said there was supposed to be a Star Fox game revealed in April and it didn't happen? I still 100% believe him. In fact, come back to this video in about a month or two, and I guarantee you there will be either a Star Fox game announced or even released. Tons of other sources and outlets have even came out and collaborated that this thing is definitely real, and they even have evidence and proof that it's real. They just can't talk about it, obviously, because, you know, this seems like there could be some illegal stuff going on if they did. But for some reason, Nate the Hate seemed very sure that this was going to get announced in April. And I remember having my own frustration with this, saying, man, I really think Star Fox deserves more than just having a random Twitter drop one morning and then releasing a month later. It needs all the marketing it can get and a big celebration for this thing. Like, this should be something that starts or even ends the next general Nintendo Direct. And of course, it didn't happen in April, so maybe Nintendo kind of backed on it and said, you know what, let's put this thing in a Nintendo Direct instead. We also have Zelda's anniversary, and this is almost always celebrated in the summer. I know a lot of people got mad that nothing happened in March or April or even so far in May, even though May just started, but yeah, Nintendo normally doesn't celebrate Zelda's anniversary until the summertime, because they want Mario's anniversary to wrap up at the end of March. Yeah, they could have their own Zelda anniversary Direct, but so far for the Switch 2, both Switch 2 Directs have been an hour long because they had a lot of information in them. The first Direct was an hour long because it had a lot of information on the brand new console being the Switch 2. And the second Direct was an hour long because it started with like a 10 to 15 minute segment for Mario's 40th anniversary. So maybe that's what they're planning to do with every Direct. They're always going to be an hour long now because it's going to be a general Direct also packed with some sort of other thing, like an anniversary or something. And they can do the exact same thing with Zelda's here this summer. This is also a new generation for Nintendo. And maybe Nintendo's like with the Switch 2, we're going to change things up. Instead of having 3 Directs a year, one in February, one in June, and one in September, we're instead going to have 2 major Directs. One in like May/June, and then one in September. With one less Direct in a year, that gives more room for information to pack the other 2 Directs filled with new stuff and exciting reveals, where Nintendo can make sure that they can please the general audience with tons of new things, tons of information on things we already have announced, and just tons of exciting information overall. Ever since E3 has came to an end, it feels like Nintendo doesn't know what to do when it comes to June and the summer months for a big show, because that kind of just knocked them off their path there. They used to have spotlights in their own individual E3 booths and presentations circled around E3, but now with E3 a thing of the past, they're trying to figure out how they actually want to go about having Directs. Sometimes they have one in summer, sometimes they have one at the end of June, or the beginning of June, or sometime in May or April, so it could literally be anything at this point. So maybe this is something where Nintendo's trying to figure out what they can do. And if anything, I feel like Nintendo might want to stay out of the month of June. June is going to be taken over by the Summer Game Fest and probably even more PlayStation State of Plays and Xbox events that they've already scheduled one for that summer event. So maybe Nintendo's like, maybe we should have all of our stuff in the month of May before all that stuff happens. And maybe they have their own E3 showing type of thing from now on, where it's one big presentation in May followed by a week of Treehouse events showing off the games. That would be awesome, and I'm really hoping that's the case, that we get something whether it be this month or early next month. I think people are just ready to be hype again, and man, if you just spend a couple minutes online, we definitely need it. The internet is just full of hate and just discourse over just annoying things. I mean, remember when we all used to speculate about Smash characters or about what they're going to do to the new 3D Mario and just all types of things to be excited about? But now it's just like, hey, we hate the Mario Galaxy movie, Miyamoto's annoying, Nintendo's doing stuff wrong, prices of things, game key cards, there's just always some negative in the stories. So it's time for us to just get back at talking about exciting games that's coming out and stuff. There are games coming out, but man, we need some stuff to really be hype about again. And hopefully Nintendo has a plan for us here soon, because it's been a long time. But now I leave it up to you. what do you guys think Nintendo's grand plan is here? Is Nintendo actually planning a big presentation or direct soon, or are they going to go through the summer with nothing again and just Twitter announcements? Let me know down below. What would you like to see the most? And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.